A very warm welcome to Study IQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are in good. Today is 5th August 2020. And I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Vinci Lombardi: "The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have." Don't dream about ideal resources, right? That when I will have my own personal room, my own personal study table, then I will sit down and read for 5 hours or 10 hours or 24 hours or whatever it is, right? Don't wait for that imaginary ideal situation. Wherever you are, whatever you have, try to give your best, right? That's the key, right? And if you give your best in this present moment, then there are high chances that the next moment is going to be more beautiful. Think about it. With this difference, the StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination, and to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my Telegram channel. In fact, it's already shared. And you can follow me on Facebook as well. Today we have so many articles to go through. The first one is about air pollution. Second one is about defense, self-reliance in defense. Third one is about USA. Fourth one is about COVID-19 vaccine trial. Fourth one is about language. And the fifth one, very important one, it's about Jammu and Kashmir. We are going to talk about Article 370, Article 35A, and progress so far. It's been, today is the first anniversary of this abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. And there are so many important things that we find in this article. And then I have some news headlines for you guys. So let's quickly crack on with Breathless. This one is from Telegraph. It's an editorial of Telegraph newspaper. And this one is about University of Chicago's Air Quality Life Index, AQLI. Recently, University of Chicago came out with this air quality, or AQLI. And sad news is that India's rank is very bad. We are at number 2 position when it comes to worst air quality in the world, right? Out of 225 countries, we are the second worst air quality country in the world. Every year, so many people die in our country because of air pollution or bad air. Something that is free, air is free, water is free, right? We have destroyed and polluted. And sometimes I wonder that I don't know where we are heading, right? India used to be a very beautiful country, but if you see 15 20 years ago, the big problem was not this polythene bags. The big problem was open defecation was a big problem at that point of time. But today we find open defecation is going down, but then we find plastic bags everywhere, and this is polluting your soil. It is polluting your water bodies, and it is this tiny particles, this microplastics are polluting your air as well. Now, one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is that baseline for this University of Chicago's air quality index is 2018. Look at the fact here: 4.3 years is how much longer a citizen of India can live on average if the government met the WHO standards for particulate pollution concentrations. In our country, we have this PM 2.5, right? And then we have PM 10. It's not just in our country, but this PM means particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10. So they are so tiny, they easily bypass or they can easily, escape this filter system of our respiratory. In our nose we have hairs and this liquid thing. I don't know the right name for it, but basically it's like a filter system. So this particulate matter, they are so tiny, they escape this filter system and then they reach our lungs, and then they cause this respiratory diseases and in many cases cancer as well, which is very sad. At present we are wearing masks, isn't it? So this remember I'm sure you have seen this thing somewhere. before, I'm talking about before or this pre-COVID-19 era. In news channels, when they used to show us this Beijing or Shanghai or any other city of China, then people used to wear this mask, and that was for protecting themselves from pollution. In India, in big cities, we find some people wearing masks, but it was not that means awareness was not that much. So most of us used to just go without mask. But at present, the good thing is we are wearing mask to protect ourselves from coronavirus. At the same time, wearing a mask is also helping us with this or protecting ourselves from this air pollution. With particulate pollution having gone up by 42% since 1998, it is very important that we wear mask, or we should do everything that is possible, like growing more trees, emitting less carbon or less greenhouse gases, so that we can protect ourselves as well as our loved ones and our fellow citizens from this danger or these diseases that are caused by air pollution. Now, just imagine ordinary citizens are losing over 5 years of their lifespans. We are doing so many things, leaving our villages and heading towards city life, heading towards a city to live a city life and to earn money, and then we save money, and then we realize that whatever we have saved by working so hard and sacrificing so many good things, then we realize that when we are somewhere around 50 or 60, then we go through so many diseases, and then we realize that if I would have stayed back home or maybe in a smaller town, the quality of life would have been much better. So it's like you do everything, at the end of the day you just make money and you lose your health and so many other things. So this is not life from my point of view. I do understand that many of us, we have to leave our tiny villages and towns for economical condition. I do understand that it's not easy. It's easy to say, but it's very difficult to live that life. Many of us, we have to sacrifice our this so-called or reasonably healthy life in village, and then we have to head towards city area. But this is a dark reality, and every one of us, either all of us, we can, one individual, it's very difficult for one individual to change. But if together, if we have good policies, if we can create good opportunities in village area, then we can protect our cities as well. Because the problem with our cities is that so many people, right, they arrive every single day. They come every single day. You see thousands of people are heading towards one single city. So cities are getting bigger and bigger. The size of administration is going to be limited, and cities are getting bigger and bigger. So, more vehicles, more construction, more pollution. The fact is that India continues to pay a steep price for air pollution, and of course we are paying a very heavy price. 5 years of our life is, you cannot buy this life from the market. Now, R.K. Singh has said that India will have around 60% of its installed electricity generation capacity from clean sources by 2030. So that's a good thing, but this is not going to be enough, right? Industries are a big contributor. Then we have vehicular pollution, construction activity. I see in near future we are going to transit from this diesel petrol to electronic vehicles. But I think in 2030 as well, we are going to see vehicles, this diesel petrol vehicles on our streets and Indian streets. So if we can get rid of all vehicles, fossil fuel, this diesel petrol vehicles by 2030, and if we have EVs by 2030 on our roads, then that's going to be a big help. But we have to work on industries as well as construction activities too. Now, just to see the situation of this metro city of our country, Kolkata, 70% of residents reportedly suffer from some sort of respiratory disease. Stubble burning is not just affecting Delhi. Let me tell you that it is affecting this whole Indo-Gangetic plain, right? This whole region is affected because of this stubble burning. So the best solution is, right, to educate people, to create this awareness, and this awareness should be part of our habit. That if, let's say, someone has this bad habit of leaving fans as well as lights and other things on when they leave their house or their room, then they should feel that pinch. They should. We need to create this habits. We have to think out of the box. That if you let's say shut your if you leave your room, can we have some sort of signs, or can we have some sort of signals that will indicate that you have left your room, and then your lights are still on? Or we can have sensors that as soon as you leave your room, the sensors will detect, and your light as well as your fan or your air condition will turn off. So this sort of smart things. But smart technology is just a byproduct. It's just another thing. We need to have this awareness. If we have this awareness, then we will create more this type of products. Remember, with this, dear friends, let's move on to next topic. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students if you have learned something from today's discussion. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, if you have already subscribed to our YouTube channel, can I request you guys to ask 3 more students or inform 3 more students about StudyIQ education. And if you have learned something from today's discussion, hit the like button as well. Okay, self-reliance in defense is a national imperative, and this title itself says everything. We cannot rely on someone else when it comes to defense preparedness. China has this whole aggressiveness of China has created a situation where we have realized that war preparedness is our top priority, and we cannot outsource, or we cannot just buy things from others. Recently, last Monday, central government has released Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy 2020, and it is perhaps India's most ambitious policy ever. It aims for a domestic output worth 1.75 trillion rupees of aerospace and defense goods and services by 2035, with exports raking in 35,000 crore rupees. So that's a very interesting thing, very interesting target. I'm not sure whether we would be able to achieve it or not, or not sure how government is planning to achieve it. But if we achieve this thing, then that's going to be a very good thing for our country. The reason why I support Make in India, or the reason why I am for this home production, is not just about jobs. Of course, you are going to find more jobs here in defense field, and more transportation business, and so many parts will, so many tiny parts, so many new businesses will open as well. That's okay. That's fine. Means we know about these things, right? The most important thing that I personally feel is important when you see. First of all, let me tell you that we don't have that top-notch, cutting edge factories or businesses in our country when it comes to defense products, right? First thing. Second thing, when we will develop these factories, just imagine if we have some private companies who are capable of producing aircraft, fighter jets in our country. So it's not just about jobs. It's about shaping the culture and structure of our country. First of all, it will give us this sense of that, yes, we can do this thing as well. Then first generation of engineers, they will do some things. They will reach to one level. Then they will train next generation engineers. They will take this level to a next, to another level. Then, so step by step, generations after generations, we'll get better and better with defense. That's what I think. This should be our big vision or big picture. Indigenous development of modern weaponry, hypersonic missiles, air sensors to stealth submarines, and fly-by-wire fighter jets are the things that we wish to develop in our country. See, our country is a nuclear power country, right? We have nuclear weapons. So nuclear weapons took us to a big power league or big power table. But our conventional weapons, normal weapons, are not that much upgraded. And self-reliance, to be practical, is a bit far. It's not like means we are at a starting line, but we are not nearby a finish line. Because recently we have just ordered 21 MiG-29 jets from Russia, and we find that Tejas production, we have produced our own Tejas light combat aircraft. HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, has produced this thing, but the problem is that we are not good in production. We are not good in delivering these products on time. So we need to work on this thing as well. Management is something that I believe is a skill or a culture in which we are a bit behind compared to other countries. But decisions on procurement for our armed forces are made through complex process. This is again a very big problem. What happens is you have service chiefs, then you have technocrats, bureaucrats, politicians, right? They will come up with their own points and too much of discussion and so many other things, and then they are scared of this allegation of corruption and so many. So they have to be very careful. They have to go through each and every single point. And of course it is important because you are spending crores and crores of rupees, and that is of public money. So you have to be very careful here. But this should not lead to a snail's pace, or the speed should be a bit faster compared to what it is now. By one estimate, India was world's third largest military spender in 2019 with a bill of over $71 billion after USA and China. Just imagine, we are buying big amount of defense products from other countries, and we are giving them our hard-earned dollars or foreign currency. Just imagine if we can invest $71 billion in our country, right? It will create so many jobs and so many new businesses and so many new opportunities. So it's a good thing that this policy is aiming for self-reliance. Defense production and export promotion policy 2020 is good now. It all depends on its implementation. Moving on to next item, it's going to be very easy to understand, more of the same. This one is about this political mood of Mr. Trump. Now he has said that he is going to stop this foreign workers working in federal government, that means central government of USA. Earlier on, H-1B visa was a big issue. Now we find this new thing that has been said by Mr. Trump, and the reason why he is doing this thing is he's trying to impress his core vote bank. And he's also trying to create, this thing that when he got elected for the first time, he was all about America first, and he talked about this foreign workers coming into your country and stealing your job. Now the question is that if someone, let's say from a so-called third world country or a developing country, if someone is from India, right? They say that they don't have that good quality of education in India compared to USA. Let's believe that thing. And kids or youngsters, they go through so many issues and hurdles, and then they reach at a level, and then they apply for US visa, they get visa, and then they apply for the job, and then they get the job as well. So a person of USA who has got all the resources, all facilities, and if he or she is not able to compete with someone from India, that itself indicates that, I'm not saying that the people of America are inferior or we are superior. What I'm saying is this particular individual who has reached your country via this H-1B visa, you have given them green signal, and if this person is talented, then you should feel blessed that you are able to attract or get this brain gain rather than brain drain. You are getting best quality talent from various different parts of the world, and this thing has added value to your country. April 2020, White House announced that it would be suspending issuance of green cards, effectively halting legal migration into US. And at present, job scenario is very bad. Right, economy was doing great in pre-COVID era, but at present USA's economy is in a very bad shape, and they say that they are going to nearly 18 million jobless people are there in USA, or it's going to reach this level, 18 million jobless people. That's what USA's unemployment rate will be. So maybe Mr. Trump is trying to divert attention by using this sort of words and this sort of language and creating this sort of controversies. But one thing that we have to understand, that it will impact us the most, because Indian nationals tend to be granted 60 to 70% or more of visas in this category, H1B category, every year. Moving on to next item, a step at a time. This one is about coronavirus vaccine. It's a good news for India that Pune-based Serum Institute of India has received the country's top drug regulators' approval to conduct late stage human trials, means third phase. I'm sure you are aware about first phase and second phase and third. It's not page, it's phase, isn't it? So first phase, second phase and third phase trials. So late stage human trial means third phase. Okay. So this one is from Oxford. Remember we have talked about this thing that when lockdown was at its peak in our country, at that point of time, this big news came from UK that Oxford University is going to conduct a biggest trial, and it's going to find a medicine or vaccine, and this news. So Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine candidate is in its third stage, and here in our country, Pune-based Serum Institute of India is going to conduct human trials. So now the vaccine has shown encouraging results, and I hope that we will find a vaccine in near future, because things are getting out of control, right? So many people are suffering, and more than that, I was going to add one more editorial from Times of India. It's about mental health. So many people are suffering from this fear of COVID-19. It may look a bit childish or maybe funny to some people, but if you think about it, right, somewhere down the line, every one of us, right, have some sort of fear associated with COVID-19, because I'm not sure whether we should fear it, or I'm not sure whether we should just understand it a bit more properly. But of course, we are concerned about our loved ones, and fear is not negative here. Fear is more like being more alert, being more vigilant here, isn't it? But for some people, unfortunately, this thing has become their nightmare. So they are suffering from this, fear of COVID-19. And so it's not just that those people who are affected or infected are affected. Those people who are not infected, this fear is affecting their life. Its mild side effect over a safe vaccine. And scientists are saying that large-scale trials are required to ascertain if the vaccine actually protects against the pathogen. Now, how it works? The immune system has two ways to defend the body against the pathogens in the coronavirus. And this is important line here, because I have a strong feeling that they will ask you this sort of line in your prelims examination. This statement type of question they ask you. They will give you one statement. Consider coronavirus and observe the below given statements. A. Antibodies, by producing antibodies that disable an infection agent. That's what this immune system does. And the second would be, B would be, let's say, by manufacturing T cells that have a long memory of such agents. Right, I'm going to explain these things to you. I'm just giving you example of this MCQ type question, and then C will be both are right, D will be both are neither A nor B. So immune system, this line is important, this statement is important, that the immune system, how it works is that it will defend our body against all those foreign particles, those dangerous pathogens like coronavirus. It will produce antibodies. It will produce this army that will destroy coronavirus. So this is how we fight, or our body fights pathogens. Second is, it will create these T cells. T cells, they have longer memory. So what they will do is, T cells will remember, okay, this is the virus, this is coronavirus, and I need to beat this coronavirus if I find this coronavirus in future. So let's say after a year or something you encounter this coronavirus, then your T cells will quickly wake up, and then your T cells will fight this COVID-19 or coronavirus or any other pathogens, right? So I hope this thing is clear to you. This is one of the most important line that we find in this article. Early research has suggested that antibodies fade away within months of contracting the coronavirus. However, a robust T-cell response can prevent the infection from recurring. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is designed to trigger both kinds of reaction. It will do this both things. Now the problem is that the only problem is that so far this test is conducted on volunteers between this age group 18 to 55. We need to try it on older as well as more vulnerable people. And as per WHO, there are 150 vaccine candidates at present, and 3 of them, Oxford vaccine, then Moderna, and Sinovac Biotech. These are the 3 that have reached the third phase. There are reasons to be cautious ever after a COVID vaccine enters the market, because back in 1999 we got this rotavirus vaccine, and then later on we realized that it caused severe infections or adverse reactions. Language of unity. This one is about language. This one is about national education policy, in which the central government has proposed this 3-language formula. Now this 3-language formula is rejected by Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is a case. I'm sure you'd be aware about this thing, that so many, roughly, if not precisely, but roughly, you'd be aware that there have been so many protests as well as revolutions in the history of Tamil Nadu about language. Every one of us, right? Language is part of our identity. So any sort of danger on language will trigger us, right? It will create this survival mode instinct in us, whether our language or our identity is in danger. And we're not going too much into it. So Tamil Nadu has supported or has always talked about 2 language. That first one is Tamil and the second one is English. But when it comes to Hindi, Tamil Nadu is not ready for Hindi yet. When I say Tamil Nadu, I'm talking about the politicians and the political parties. As far as people are concerned, we are going to talk about some practical side. Now, one thing that we have to understand here clearly, that the central government has clearly stated that, as said in this National Education Policy 2020, that no language will be imposed on any state. So it's not that central government is going to impose a language on you. Central government is just saying that you should go for 3 language. Now, if you want to keep 2, then it's totally up to you. So, as far as history of language is concerned, or history of this resistance of Hindi is concerned, Tamil Nadu has resisted multiple attempts to impose Hindi since 1937. In 1985, since 1985, the state has even refused to allow Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas to be set up as they teach Hindi. The 2-language policy of Tamil and English, piloted by former Chief Minister C.N. Annadurai in 1968, has thus far worked well in the state. English, of course, is a very important language. It's a global link language, whether we like it or not, right? English is a language that will unlock many doors for you. I'm not saying that when I say that English is important, I don't mean to say that your mother tongue or your regional language is not important, but you should have knowledge about English. I'm not saying you should be fluent in everything, but at least you should be able to have, conversational understanding of English, that you can speak a few sentences and you can understand things and you can read things. That's more than enough, I believe. But if you are in a particular sector, then you should have a good grip over a particular language. Now, English fluency has helped Tamil Nadu to attract business process outsourcing business. And it's not that Hindi is resisted in Tamil Nadu. There are so many people, right? See here, 102-year-old Dakshina Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha is there in Chennai since 102 years. So this indicates that Hindi is also flourishing in Tamil Nadu, and there are so many businesses, right? It means migrants from various different parts of our country, particularly North India. So many North Indians, they are living in Chennai and other parts of Tamil Nadu. So because they are at the end of the day customer of so many local business people, so they speak local business people as well. They have developed this good grip on this Hindi language, conversational Hindi, right? They are not fluent, but they will understand your Hindi. India is a federal country. Of course, we have states and centers. We have center and states, and we have so many different languages and diversity. So one particular language cannot be forced on our whole country. This is a fact, right? But at the same time, I think our strength as Indian is that we know multiple, we are bilingual, right? I can speak Gujarati, Hindi and English, right? And there are so many people, some of you would be speaking Punjabi, Hindi and English. Many of you would be speaking Tamil or Kannada and English, isn't it? So if you go to France, if you go to Germany, if you go to England, if you go to Australia, they cannot speak this many languages. We can speak this, and all these languages are different, but then as well we are, this is good thing. This is not bad. Okay. Moving on to last item of the day. This is one of the most important article, and I was going to spend nearly 5-10 minutes after it, but we are nearly discussing things from last 30 minutes. But anyway, I cannot compromise the quality of this particular article because this is very important one. It's about a year after Jammu and Kashmir, a year after 5th August 2019, a big thing took place. Article 370 and Article 35A was abrogated by central government, and Jammu and Kashmir and the state of Jammu and Kashmir was converted into two union territories, to be precise, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So this is its first anniversary. And dear friends, you will find articles written on this particular topic in the Hindu newspaper, in Indian Express, in other newspapers as well. I have gone through many of them today morning. But the reason why I chose this one from Times of India is, first of all, this article is written by Syed Ata Hasnain, and Syed Ata Hasnain or Ata Hasnain. He is retired Lieutenant General of Indian Army, and this is one reason, because I have gone through many other articles, and I have gone through this article, and I find this article impartial. It's not written for any particular political party. If you go through Hindu newspapers articles on Jammu and Kashmir and in Indian Express as well, you will find they are written by some politicians or some writer who are inclined towards a particular ideology. So this one, I find it free from that thing, and this is the reason why I find this article is the most important one as far as this particular topic is concerned. Now, there are three questions. First is that, did this decisions to get rid of this Article 350 and 370 and 35A, did this decisions warrant being taken at the moment in the light of the then existing scenes? Have they helped improve the deteriorating situation, and how are the effects of these decisions likely to shape regional geopolitics, internal security, integrative process, people's psyche and related domains through the very challenging times ahead? So first of all, let's understand that from last 30 years, somewhere from 89 or 88, we find that Kashmir is going through this proxy war. Pakistan knows this thing, that it cannot win a proper or a full-fledged war with India. So they opted for this proxy war with India. And what they are doing is they are sending intruders. They are sending they are sending so many drugs and fake money, and so many things are going on. And I'm sure you are aware about it. I don't have to say all this or repeat these things, isn't it? So they keep on doing this, and they have been doing it from last 30 years. So they are like pro in this thing. And we were suffering from this thing for a very long period of time. Now, Pakistan has used this Article 370 and Article 35A's weakness for its, means they have, for Pakistan, this Article 370 and 35A was like an opportunity, and they have exploited it as well, very well. Because Article 370 and 35A created this thing or self-image of Jammu and Kashmir, that Jammu and Kashmir is different from other states of our country, that Jammu and Kashmir is not part, or whether it is part, and there was a big question mark on Jammu and Kashmir. So many people in our country, they were not aware about, and they used to know somewhere in their heart, on the corner of their heart, that Jammu and Kashmir is part of our India, but they were not aware about exactly what was going on. But so all this confusion and everything was because of this Article 370 and 35A, different flag, and their own constitution and their own way of doing things. Everything was removed with just removal of this Article 370 and 35A. Then this Article 370-35A gave this new seed of Azadi. So many people were dreaming about Azadi and independence, that there will be a time when we will have independent Kashmir, right? This is not possible because Kashmir is part of and has always been part of our country, isn't it? So removal has given this green signal, means clear signal, not green signal, but this clear signal that Kashmir is part of India, right? Jammu and Kashmir is part of India, Ladakh is part of India, and this POK is illegal, right? We have given this clear statement by getting rid of this Article 370 and 35A. Existing within the establishment and political community was a long embedded belief that even touching the constitutional exclusivity of Jammu and Kashmir would mean unbearable consequences. Political parties, people were afraid that if you touch Article 370 and 35A, then we'll have big massacres and, big issues and political turmoil and social harmony will be ruined if we touch this thing. But nothing like that happened. And this indicates that our decision is right, the central government's decision is right, and India's decision is right. And every 3 to 4 years, a cycle, we used to see this cycle. What they used to do is this violence, and after 1 year violence, there will be a sort of calm. Again, they will gather the energy. Again, violence. Then again, a bit of calm. Then again, violence. So it used to be like that. It was like used to go on like this for a very long period of time. Since 2013, a generational change in leadership was occurring. The new one, brash and irrational, given to radical external ideological influence. Then 2014-16, we saw this BJP and PDP, but later on we found that we were gifted with this Pathankot, Uri. Our country was gifted with Pathankot, Uri, Nagrota, and later Pulwama. So enough was enough, and finally this was a green signal. Means not green signal, but it was a clear signal that if we want to do something, if we want to repair the situation, then we have to do something big, right? Small steps are not going to help. So this was a big step taken by government. Now the thing is, India has, for a very long period of time, we have been suffering from this terrorism and militancy and separatism. And earlier the government were not that decisive, they were not that strong enough or brave enough to take this issue, to take or to head face this issue. But now this government finally, before 1 year, we have abrogated these 2 articles, and we find its results, right? Militancy has gone down, and you find these separatist leaders like S.S. Gilani resigning from Hurriyat conference indicates that they are getting weaker. And the real challenge at present is governance and political activity. We need to see the long-term goal is to once again convert this state of this union territory of Jammu and Kashmir into a state. That's a long-term vision. But for that, first of all, we need to have a proper secure environment. When you have secure environment, your economy, your polity, your culture, your society, everything will flourish, and then we can think about political changes. So for now, it's going to be as it is, and we have to understand that removal or abrogation of Article 370-35A is not a magic wand. It's not like just removing it, everything will change. Then you have to work for it. You have to maintain this security, and you have to create policies that will allow other things like economy, polity, culture, society, right? Everything should flourish. For that, we have to invest money, we have to nurture them, we have to handhold so many people, so many other things. So it's an ongoing process. 1 year is a milestone, of course, but every year, I think 5 years, or it will take 10, 15 years, because it is going on, this destruction is going on for 30 years now. So it will take at least 5-10 years for us to make Jammu and Kashmir a role model of our country, isn't it? A role model state of our country. And that's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. These are a few news items. I want you guys to download the PDF and go through it, right? We are totally beaten by the clock today. We have talked about 40 minutes now. So that's too much, I think, for today. So enjoy your studies. I will see you with daily financial news analysis. God bless you all. Jai Hind.